So welcome everybody to livewebdesign.com training event. Today's class is WordPress 101. You are sitting in both live and virtually with me, Justin Seeley. And so today we're going to be talking all about WordPress, just getting started with it, what it is, what it does, how you can get it, how you can use it, that kind of thing. Today is geared very, very basic, and it should be for beginners. So if you have any beginner type questions, feel free to throw those at me, throw those into the chat room. There's people in the chat room that'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to help you, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to try to go as slow as I can, staying within my time frame, and answer as many questions as I can along the way as well. All right. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Justin Seeley, and I am the design guy, quote unquote, at webdesign.com. And I'm also an Adobe community professional, an Adobe certified expert. I do a lot of stuff in that community as well. You can find me online. I'm at Justin Seeley on Twitter, and then my personal blog is over at justinseeley.com. So I talked a little bit about these classes and what we're going to be doing. Basically, we're taking iThemes TV to a different level, right? A lot of people online, especially on the webinar right now, are used to seeing us live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock on the couch over in the studio. We're not going to be doing that the same way anymore. Basically, Tuesdays at 11 is now going to be an educational session. So if you're here live in Oklahoma, by the way, we're in Edmond at the Div. If you are in the area, come by and hang out. So if you're around Tuesdays 11 a.m., it's free. Whatever I'm teaching is going to be live in here free, so you can come by and get in on that. It's going to be a rotating schedule of beginners classes. You can come back and take them as often as you like, and we'd love to have you here. So I'm going to be doing these in the iThemes TV slot, and then we are going to be archiving them for free on the iThemes TV website. So if you hear me say something today and you don't get it right away, or you didn't write it down, that's okay. There's going to be a video archive of it that you can go back and look at it anytime you want. Okay. Also, we are going to be doing some new shows via iThemes TV, a little bit more pre-recorded type material. So the new site and the new format will launch sometime in the coming weeks. So pay attention for that too. All right. So here's today's agenda. This is basically what we're going to be talking about. We're going to start off with what is WordPress. If you're using it already, you probably know what it is. If you've never used it before, you're probably wondering exactly what this buzzword is that everybody talks about. And so we're going to be going over that, exactly what it is. We're going to be going over who uses it. So, why is it so popular? What does it do for these people that they're using it so prevalently? I'm going to go over how do you get it, how do you get access to it, and then we're going to go over how you actually use it. Okay? So, and that'll be the demo. All right, so what is WordPress? Well, there's a big technical definition that I could go into, but I'm going to spare you that and just break it down for you real simple. WordPress is a free website building tool. Yes, I said free website building tool that allows for anyone to get online and have an online presence quickly and easily. And literally, once you have set up, and you can review the basic parts that I'm talking about in our How to Build a Website class, but once you have the basic parts of a website, a domain, hosting, nailed down, you can literally be online with a website with WordPress in about 10 minutes. It's not that difficult at all, okay? And I'm going to walk you through the steps here in just a second. All right, so WordPress makes it easy for anyone to have an online presence, not just web designers or developers. This used to be a really closed ecosystem where you had to go and hire somebody to, build you a website for thousands of bucks. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. For, pennies on the dollar, literally, you can get yourself online, and then you can, upgrade, of course. There are enhancements that you can buy for WordPress sites, some of which that we sell, I believe, that you can check out and make your site a little bit better as well. All right, so who uses WordPress? What exactly is this for? Well, there are a lot of places that use WordPress, each one of them having a different use case. All right, I see WordPress as being the ultimate website solution no matter who you are. I don't care if you're a small business, a personal brand, big enterprise business, technology blog, whatever. It is for everybody because it's so simple to use. And so here are some examples, and this is from WordPress.com, of the big sites on the net that are actually run on WordPress. You may have heard of some of these. I'm pretty sure you've heard of CNN and Forbes. Both of those outfits use WordPress in one way, shape, or form. Some of the big ones that I read, New York Times, Mashable, Boing Boing, those blogs, they're all powered by WordPress. And so I think unfortunately for WordPress itself, a lot of people see that WordPress is used for blogs, and they're like, well, I don't want to have a blog. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a blog to do a WordPress site. For instance, I have a website, but the majority of my website is information about me. There is a blog section, but it's not the main focus of the site. And a lot of people are using it that way, and especially with the new tools that are coming out in WordPress, it's becoming more and more of a content management system versus a blogging platform. Okay? All right. Other ones that are pretty cool that I noticed that run on WordPress, and there's one that's not on here that's really awesome. Jay-Z, the rapper, not a big fan of his music, but his website's cool. Katy Perry, my wife loves her music, and she runs hers on WordPress. And then, of course, my personal hero, Alec Baldwin, his website runs on WordPress as well. AlecBaldwin.com, it's awesome. It's very well done. All right, so how do you get it? How do you get WordPress? Well, there are two ways that you can have your website running on WordPress, okay? One of which is the easy point-and-click way. The other is a little bit more involved, but it's also the one that I recommend, okay? So you've got two places you can go to get it. You can get WordPress on WordPress.com, or you can get WordPress on WordPress.org. The difference is that WordPress.com is a hosted service. So you go there and you sign up for a username and a password, and then they just give you a blog, and your address will be something.wordpress.com. All right. The issue with that is number one, you don't get the cool domain like yourname.com. Number two, WordPress.com limits you on the types of themes and plugins that you can use, and we'll go over exactly what themes and plugins are in just a minute. But basically, those are ways of extending your site to differentiate you from the quote-unquote competition, right? And so WordPress.com is great to get started. It may even be a great place for you to go explore because it's free, low point of entry, all that kind of stuff. But eventually you should think about moving yourself to a self-hosted version of WordPress, which you can get at WordPress.org. Okay? So if you go to www.wordpress.org, and I'll show you this in just a minute, you can download WordPress for free. It comes in a little zip file. You download it for free. And you can then upload that into your, web hosting directory and all that good stuff, and you can install it. Now, the great part about it is if you're really smart about what hosting company you choose, you don't even have to download that software yourself or install it yourself. You can actually just go in and do what I call the one-click fix for WordPress. And I'm going to show you, I use HostGator for a lot of my hosting, and I'm going to show you how to do a one-click install of WordPress. It is very, very easy. All right. Okay. So once you get it, how do you use it? Right? Well, that is kind of a subjective question. It just depends on what you want to do with your online presence. Are you trying to sell things? Are you trying to market yourself? Are you trying to market your services? What is it exactly that you're trying to do? So determine that first. And then you can sort of go in and pick your poison when it comes to themes, plugins, and all that good stuff. Because you are going to need a good theme, you're going to need good plugins, and you're going to need a little bit of direction when you're building these sites. Okay? So I'm going to give you some examples in just a minute. All right? All right. So let's take a break from the slides and actually go into the World Wide Web. All right, you log into my HostGator account. Now, we do recommend HostGator as our preferred hosting solution around here. You don't have to use HostGator, okay? There are a ton of hosting services out there. If you find one that works better for you, by all means, rock on, okay? But the reason I like HostGator, number one, it's fast. Number two, it's cheap. And number three, it's easy, all right? Three things that I really enjoy about everything, fast, cheap, and easy, right? So if you look over here, when I log into my HostGator account, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to notice that it has this quick install WordPress for your site. Couldn't be any simpler than that. It's a big, gigantic button that says WordPress. If I click that, it's going to take me here. Let me move over so you can see it. And it's going to tell you what WordPress is. I love the description too. WordPress is web software you can use to create a beautiful website or blog. That's absolutely true. It's just a little weird that the hosting company frames it that way. It's going to show you what the latest version is that they're running. They're usually pretty good about staying up to date. All right, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not that big. It's only 9 megs. 9 megabytes in today's world is nothing, considering that you can get a Dropbox account with 2 gigabytes of space for free. So, 9 megs is nothing. It also shows you the official sites. If you want to go to WordPress.org, you want to read up more about it, if you really want to geek out and look at the code and all that good stuff, you can do that. If you're just getting started, though, don't do that because you'll have a headache within 5 minutes. Okay, so just use the built-in tools that are available to you and work your way slow. All right, you got to crawl before you can walk. So if I were to hit continue right here, it's then going to ask you, okay, where do you want to install this on your hosting account? You get to pick the domain, and somebody was asking me in the chat earlier about subdomains and all that good stuff. If you want to install it in a subfolder, even if that folder doesn't exist, all you have to do is pick the domain and then name a folder. Just create one. So I could call this test or blog or whatever I wanted to, and then fill out the information underneath it and hit install, and it does it for me. It has a little progress bar. Boom, I'm done. Within a few minutes, I can then log in to that WordPress installation and I can start working on my website. All right, now I've already installed it just to save us some time on my very cool domain. I'm very proud of this domain. It's called Knowledge with a G, like I'm gnawing on something. So Jay has a good appreciation for domain names. So, so here is what you're going to get. All right, once you click that install button, you're going to get this. It is a standard theme. It's called 2011. It's a very bare bones, basic theme. Okay, but from this, you can actually access your whole website and manage your whole website from right here. Okay, all you have to do is find right over here, and this is going to be for every new WordPress install. All right, right there, that little button that says log in. If you got your HostGator or whatever, if they set up your account for you or set this up for you, they'll send you in an email your username and your password. Okay, chances are it's going to be admin, even though I don't recommend using admin because that's kind of a security problem. But that's for another day. So they gave me admin, and I just did this fresh install like 5 minutes before I walked in here. Okay, and so I type in my username, type in my password, and hit login. It takes me here. All right, and this is something called the dashboard, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start off with the dashboard. All right, now, anybody have any questions thus far in the room or in the chat? Everybody okay? Bueller? All right. So, chat room. Let's see, Carrie wants to know if you still have access and control of the config file with the one-click install. Yeah, you still have access to the config file. It does write the config file for you. So, there might be some stuff that you don't need in there. But yeah, there are some limitations, absolutely. Carrie is one of our community members. She's asking, whether or not I have access to all the files that WordPress installs. You do have access to those. You'll have to go through an FTP client to get access to those. But that is not for beginners. All right, so proceed with caution if you find yourself in an FTP environment, because that is some dangerous territory if you don't know what you're doing. So let's just stick with the dashboard here. All right. So you can think of the dashboard as like a bird's eye view of your site. All right, it gives you information about all the different areas of your WordPress site right here without having to go anywhere else. And let me collapse some of these menus over here because this is what you would actually see when you first got in here. So you would see this, okay? Here at the top left, and I'll zoom in so you can see this, this is called the Right Now panel, okay? So the Right Now panel lets you know different things about your WordPress site, things that are going on. For instance, it tells me right now I have one post, and by the way, it's going to give you one post by default. It's going to say, hello world, all right, this is my first blog post, blah, 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 okay? You're going to get a sample page, and it's actually going to be called sample page. It used to be called about, and they finally changed it. I get one category. The category is called uncategorized. Very brilliant. I have no tags. I'll explain exactly what those are in just a minute. And then on the right-hand side, an area for discussion. That's the big thing with blogs, right? The blog thing, the social media aspect is to spark discussion, right? So you write a blog post and you want people to comment on it so that you can ask them questions, they can ask you questions, blah, 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 right? Okay. So you can see how many comments you have, whether or not they've been approved, if you have any pending, and I'll talk about those a little bit later, and if there are any in the spam queue. It also tells me right here exactly what theme I'm running. So I'm running the 2011 theme. That's the only theme I have. All right. And then I'm running 6 widgets as well. I'll explain what widgets are in a minute. If you're unsure what version of WordPress you're running, like if anybody says, hey, did you update to 3.2. whatever, you can just go in and you can check right there. Okay, it tells you right there off the bat. All right. So you can say, yeah, I'm running 3.2.1. You might even not know what 3.2.1 means, but you're going to sound smart. So that's all that matters. Okay. All right, you're also going to get a recent comment section. That's right here. That's going to show you the latest comments that have been posted to your blog. Right now, Mr. WordPress is the only one who has commented on my blog, and he commented on the Hello World post. This is just to give you an idea of what a comment looks like. Okay, my suggestion would be to trash that out because you don't need it. All right. Here's a good one. Incoming links. If people are linking back to you on the internet, it's going to show you where they're linking back to you from. Look at this with a grain of salt, okay, because there's going to be a lot of places that link back to you that aren't necessarily okay or good. Okay, I have a lot of places that link back to me that I wish weren't. But you know, hey, if it's creating traffic, it's creating traffic. What do they say? No such thing as bad publicity. So this will show you, you know, people who have linked to your articles, people who have mentioned your website, that kind of thing. That's going to be coming in. Obviously, this is a brand new install, so nobody has done that yet. All right. It's also going to show me here at the bottom some plugins that they consider to be popular. I'm not really sure where they get their most popular list from because a lot of these that show up in here I have never seen or never use. My most popular plugins are ones that I technically use every day. Those would be the ones that I consider to be most popular. And I'll go over some of those in just a minute. The one that I would recommend, especially if you are moving from one WordPress site to another, WordPress importer. It used to be a part of WordPress. Now you have to install it. So I would install that one, and I'll go over how to install that in just a moment. All right, let's. Yes, absolutely.
I have a Tumblr blog. Would that the installer, or is there a plugin
to import from Tumblr to here? I personally have never used Tumblr, so I'm sure there's a way to do it. I know there's other places online that allow you to import Tumblr blogs, so I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard. If you could just get, I'm sure there's an export option in Tumblr. If you could export out the data, the posts and stuff, I'm sure you can import them in here somehow. And if you did a search, and I'll show you how to do a search in a minute for Tumblr import, or maybe even somebody in the chat room could help you out that's done it before, but I'm sure there's a way. Because yeah, I mean, you know, in the Apple saying there's an app for that. Well, in WordPress, we always say there's a plugin for that. Always. Okay? Because there's somebody out there that went, I need to be able to do this, and they wrote a plugin for it. All right, so over here on the right, you're going to see other WordPress news. This is stuff that WordPress thinks you should know. All right? A lot of times this is stuff that I don't really care about. But they do occasionally release stuff like the WordPress betas. So if you are, you know, a super dork and really want to get in early on stuff like I do, you can download the betas from here. And, you know, I see a lot of people looking at me cross-eyed when I say dork. Dork is a term of endearment in this environment, okay? You're in a safe place. If you want to call each other geeks, nerds, dorks, whatever, that's fine. We love that stuff here. And people online know that as well. So, you know, that's fine. But the betas, it was just released, I believe, yesterday, 3.3. And the bad thing about 3.3 is they're changing some stuff. So once 3.3 officially does release, you're going to see some aesthetic changes to the back end of WordPress. All right, my suggestion would be, you know, if you're getting involved with WordPress today, do a Google search for WordPress 3.3 and learn about it before it drops. That way you're prepared for the changes that are going to happen, because there's going to be some aesthetic changes to the admin area. There's going to be some functionality changes to the widget areas. There's also going to be some changes to the media importer / uploader system. So that's going to look a lot different than what I show you here today. So you got to be aware of that, because you don't want to just log in your WordPress install one day and think, oh no, what happened, right? It's like updating to a new version of software. WordPress is nothing more than software that runs on the web. So you have to be aware of new software before you start using it. So obviously you have to be aware of this before you start using it too. Okay? All right, WordPress blog, same deal. Now, here's the cool thing about the dashboard. All right, let me zoom out so you can see this. If you don't want to see some of this stuff, for instance, I don't care about the WordPress news and I don't care about the WordPress blog. So look, I can turn that off. If I come up here to screen options at the top, there's little check marks next to the stuff. So I can say, okay, other WordPress news, no, I don't need to see that. WordPress blog, no, I don't need to see that. If I want to turn off any of this stuff, I can turn it off. Doesn't matter. If I like 2 columns, that's fine. If I want 3, I can add 3. And so if I do that, it gives me another column over here, so I could actually put my comments right over there. It's just drag and drop. Okay, very simple. If I want to move recent drafts, drag and drop. See how it gives me a little rectangle whenever I move it? So I can just move things around, and that way I can create my own custom dashboard. And this will be saved to your user profile, so every time you log in, it's going to look like this. Okay, you don't have to worry about it going away. It's sticky, in other words. Okay. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is this little guy right here. This is called the Quick Press. Theoretically, you could do nothing but blog directly from Quick Press and never have to do anything else. Okay? I don't recommend it, but you could. So if you're, kind of nervous about going into the main, meat and potatoes of WordPress, try this out a couple times. Okay? It's very basic. You get to put in a title. You can insert pictures or whatever you want from this little bank of icons here. You type out your content. It's just like typing in any word processor you've ever typed in. You can add tags, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then you have the option to either save it as a draft or to publish it. Now, once you click publish, that's in front of the world. Okay? So, don't be afraid of hitting publish. Absolutely not. But just know that when you hit publish, boom, it's out there. Okay? You can also reset that to, take all that back to 0 value if you want to. All right? Okay. Let me shrink up my screen options. And let me open up the website so you can actually see what we're doing as we sort of make changes to it. Okay? All right. When I go to the website itself, you're going to notice since I'm logged in, I see this gray bar across the top. Your readers do not see this gray bar. Okay? This is called the admin bar. It's something they added, I think it was WordPress 3.0. I think that's when they added the admin bar. I hate it, personally. It gets in my way. Because really and truly, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, okay, I've got this big funky gray bar at the top of my website. Chances are I don't want that because I've spent a lot of time designing my site, or I purchased, a theme that looks really cool. Why do I want this gray bar overlapping it? So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to turn that nasty thing off. All right. So right here, I've got my name. Okay. If I hover over my name, there's a little link that says edit my profile right there. If I do that, it takes me to my profile, and right here where it says show admin bar, I can turn off when viewing in site. Okay? So I turn that off, update my profile, and if I go back, no more funky gray bar. Okay? It's just a better way, in my opinion, to view what your website looks like. Okay? Now, if you like it for admin purposes, that's fine. I know a lot of people who do. All right, that's fine. It's just a personal choice of mine, then I go and turn it off. That way I get a better idea of what my website's looking like. All right, Mike B is asking, what spam filter do I recommend now that Akismet is charging for their service? Well, Mike, that's a very good question. I'm going to get to spam in just a minute, but let me answer that with one quick little thing. Akismet is charging, in theory. You can actually go into Akismet and you can take the what do I want to pay for this plugin slider. You can take it all the way down to 0 and you can still get a hold of it. So I personally donated because it saves me a ton of time from having to go through and fight the spam bots. But if you want it for free, all you have to do is choose that you want to use it on a personal blog, zip that thing down to 0, and you get an API key just like you normally would. Okay? So you don't have to pay for it. I would suggest you would. Those guys put a lot of hard work into that, and it's an awesome plugin. I firmly believe everybody should get a little bit of compensation for their plugins because they make my life so much easier.
What's the name of that one?
The one that I'm talking about, Akismet, Akismet. It comes with WordPress. It's automatically installed when WordPress is installed. And I'll show you how to do the API key in just a minute. All right? Okay, so I removed the admin bar. Let's talk about some WordPress options, because the first thing you need to do is you need to set up your options in WordPress, because there's a couple of things that don't necessarily make sense to me. Anyway, all right? So I'm going to go back to my dashboard for a second and take a look at the settings down here, bottom left. So let's start off with the general settings. All right. Here is where I can control a lot of things about my website. Now, normally, if you're a web designer or something like that, in order to change the title of the site, you would go into the header portion of the site and you would find the title tag and you would put in new information in between the title tag. To some of you, that sounded like I was speaking Japanese. So all you have to know is go here and type in a new name. So for instance, if I want to call this something else, like this site rules, and my site is better than your Blogger blog, or whatever I want to put, I can do that and I can hit save changes. Now, if you have a Blogger blog, I'm not hating on you. Okay, that's where I started. All right. So I do that. Watch this when I go back over to my site. I refresh the page. This site rules. My site is better than your Blogger blog. Okay? So wherever the title is called and wherever the tagline is called or the description is called, that's going to appear just like that. And a lot of different themes make use of these two elements to style them differently. A great example is our builder theme that we sell at iThemes. iThemes Builder comes with stylized things for the site title and for the description so that it looks really cool in every single, one of our child themes. So, think carefully about what you call your site and think carefully about what you put in that tagline, because you're going to use that a lot. It's an integral part of your website. Okay? All right. So let's go back. These two things right here, WordPress address and site address, don't change those. All right? Just leave those alone. In a more advanced WordPress course, I'll explain why you would want to touch those up, but for now, we're just going to leave them alone. All right? Your email address. This is the email address that's associated with your admin account, your account. Okay? If you want the notifications for the site, like when new comments are posted, when new people sign up, etc., if you want that to go somewhere else, change that address. All right? Membership. Now, this does not set you up with like a membership where people have to pay or anything like that. It'd be cool if it did because, that'd be awesome, but it doesn't. So you can determine here, though, can anyone register for your site? That means they're on, if they log in, they can do comments and all that kind of stuff. And, I'm going to say no. Anyone cannot register. It's a security issue. My new user default role, I'm going to leave that on subscriber. I don't want people having admin rights to my website. I can set my time zone if I want to. You can pick that up. If you speak UTC, that'll be easy for you. If you do not, as I do not, then that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to leave that alone. The date format. That's how the dates are going to be formatted on the front end of your website. So when you look at this post here, it's posted on August 16th, 2011, which that's not today. But basically that's what it's doing. It's using that format, right? So I can pick the different formats that I want, and that's how it's going to be displayed on the front end. You can also choose a time format. If your theme supports when it was posted, via the time, it'll show that as well. You can also determine when your week starts. That's for calendars and stuff like that. I'm not sure where that's coming from. All right. So let's go ahead and save any changes that I made. It's automatically saved, and I'm good to go. Okay. The writing settings. These are pretty important because it controls how WordPress behaves while you're writing. Okay? Now, this is a big one for me anyway because I am long-winded and I like to write long blog posts. So the size of the post box, by default, it's 20 lines of text. That is not very big. Okay? If you're writing a long blog post, that's not very big. So you can actually change that if you want to. You can up that as much as you want. However, if you're working on a smaller monitor, I suggest to keep that a little smaller. Okay, because otherwise it's going to dominate your screen. You're going to have to go scrolling for everything else. So it's 20 lines by default. You can change it as much time as you want, or for as much as you want. Formatting. If you want to convert emoticons, like the ones you see here, to graphics, it will do so for you. So if you type out a little smiley face, WordPress puts out a little yellow smiley face that's actually smiling instead of your little emoticon. It's a pretty cool little feature that they have built in. So if you want to turn that on, fine. You don't have to. I leave it on because it's cute. WordPress should correct invalidly nested XHTML automatically. If you are not going to be putting XHTML into your place or into your site, you really don't have to worry about that. So rather than explain what that means, I'll just tell you to leave it unchecked for now because it's a whole lot of complication. All right, here's the big stuff. All right, default post category. So when you're making a blog post, what does it default to? Chances are this is going to be what I call a blanket category. So something like news or updates or something like that. So whatever you want. Right now I don't have any categories besides uncategorized, so I don't have anything to pick from. But if I had categories, they would all be listed there. Default post format. If your theme supports different post formats, as the 2011 theme does, you can do that. Post formats allow you to change the way a post looks and feels based on what it is. For instance, Tumblr, for instance, you were talking about Tumblr. Tumblr supports things like quotations, links, videos, images, etc. When you post things like an image to Tumblr, it has a different look than a quote or a different look than a link. That's what this kind of stuff is. They've tried to incorporate this more into WordPress. I think that's because there for a while, Tumblr was really creeping up on WordPress for a little bit as being the free place to put a website. But then people realized how much of a pain in the butt it was to theme for Tumblr. Good Lord, I can't even talk. And so they went back to WordPress. WordPress is so easy. It's fantastic. Default link categories. By default, you have a link category already called the blog roll. All right. If you want to manage links, for instance, I have some on my website that are called websites I visit a lot. And so I have a lot of websites I visit a lot. I have one called my website so that it lists my websites. I have one called sites of or my friends' websites, so places that my friends have websites. And then you can display those dynamically through widgets in different places in your site. Okay. By default, though, it just defaults to the blog roll. I don't have any other links, so there's nothing there. All right. The other stuff is posting via email. If you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can theoretically run your WordPress site from your iPad or iPhone, also from an Android device. You will have to come in and enable these two checkboxes first before you do that. But the blogging experience on the iPad and iPhone is actually very good. I've blogged from both, and I love them both. But I am an Apple fanboy, so if that tells you anything. I love most of the stuff that happens on Apple products. If you make any changes here, hit save. All right, that'll save it. And let's go to reading. All right, so reading. What does your front page display? Does it display your latest post, meaning it's a blog style, or does it do a static page? If you don't want your page to be necessarily a blog, if you're not running a blog, you can have just a static page as your homepage. I actually recommend that because most of the time people are coming, because if you're a business, I'm assuming most of you in here are here for business purposes. Most of the time people aren't going to come to your site for the blog. The blog is a secondary thing that they just happen to run across. They want information about you, information about your company, information about your services. So to make a static page, all you have to do is click static page, and then you'll pick what page is my front page, what page houses my post. Okay, so you would create a page called home. You would create a page called blog, and then you would pick between the two, right? How many blog posts does it show on each one of your blog pages? All right, depending on your theme, you might want to change this up. By default, it's 10. All right, sometimes I choose a different one. It just depends on the site. All right. How much does your syndication feed show? That means when people are using RSS readers to view your site, how many items do they get when they refresh it? Do they get 10? Do they get 5? How many do they get? All right. For each article in a feed, do you want them to see the full text or you just want them to see a summary? If you want them to just see the summary, that'll force them to kind of click through and go back to your website, so you'll get that traffic back to your website. Okay. Leave the encoding alone if you don't know what that means. And then if you make any changes here, you can always hit Save Changes. I'm going to switch that back to latest post. Save it. All right. Okay, the last one we're going to go over before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of WordPress. All right, I'm going to come down to the bottom and choose permalinks. This is one that confuses a whole lot of folks, okay? But it's not that difficult to understand, all right? So when you go to a website, if you go to, let's say, apple.com/store, right? That's a very easy URL to remember. What if Apple didn't have pretty links and it said apple.com/page/to/ whenever it was published /whatever? Am I going to remember that off the top of my head? Absolutely not. But I remember apple.com/store. So, don't you want your links to be nice and pretty just like that? Absolutely we do. The easiest one to pick here to give yourself pretty links, day and name. Okay? Now you can do a custom one down here, and a lot of people do that. My suggestion is, though, to read up on the WordPress Codex before you start doing custom ones. All right, if you're just starting out, day and name should be fine. All right, so that means when I create a new page that's called About Me, it's going to be whatever.com/about me. If I do a new page that's called Contact, whatever.com/contact. Very simple. Okay? Hit Save Changes, and there we go. So now, if I go back to my site, notice right here when I hover over this, and I'll try to zoom in so you can see. But when I hover over this page, I don't know if it's going to actually show it or not. No, it's not. Well, when I hover over that page, it actually says down in the bottom, knowledge.co/page_ID = 2. That was the original URL. Okay. If I refresh this page and hover over it now, knowledge.co/sample page. A lot better. All right. If I click on it, you can actually see, well, it redirected. That is fantastic.
But is that from the custom or from your day and name?
It's from the day and name. Day and name does that automatically.
Unless it's a blog post, then it's more.
Right. Now, what you just saw, the 404 error, is something that can happen, okay? Because sometimes the rewrite rules don't work properly with a .htaccess file. I actually haven't run into this problem in forever. So basically what I'm going to have to do now is I'm probably going to have to go in and make some modifications to my .htaccess file, which is a huge pain in the rear end. But it is something that happens. Unfortunately, this being a beginner's class, I don't think we should cover that today, but we'll do an advanced WordPress course, I'm sure, and we'll cover that. Basically, what has happened is when it's on default, it automatically knows the page structure on how to name it, right? When I change that, WordPress can, or my web server can be confused as to how it's doing that, and it's just not working. So, unfortunately, that's not working. So I won't be able to use that one today, but I'll just stick to default. But that's how you would normally do it, and normally you don't run into any problems. But it wouldn't be a demo if you didn't break one thing. All right? Okay. So how do I start creating content? Right? That's the big thing. How do I start creating content? All right, let's take a look at how I can create a page in WordPress. Let's say I wanted to create a page about me, for instance. Okay? I'm going to find over here the pages panel, and I can expand these little menus up and down just like that, and I'm going to hit add new. The good thing about posts and pages, the editors are the same, so if you can do one, you can do the other one. Very simple. Alright, if you've ever used Microsoft Word, you should be very comfortable in here. Okay, so the title of this, I'm going to call it About Me. Alright, now I'm going to grab some filler text, and I have an app that does that for me. All right, I'm just going to paste it in. So I just pasted in some filler text. It's lorem ipsum, Latin text. Okay. So I pasted that in. You could have just typed that same way. All right. Let's take a look at exactly what we have here. So let's say that I wanted to make the first part of this bold. I just click the little B. Very simple. All right. Say I want to make this italic. Make it italic. The very last part, oops, I made a mistake. Strike it through. Okay, it's point and click. Very simple. It's very self-explanatory what these do. The ones that might not make some sense, this one right here, this is for an unordered list or a bulleted list. Okay, this is for a numbered list, and if you hover over them, it tells you what they are. Okay, for a block quote, this is to change alignment, left, center, and right. You also have the ability to change links. So if I wanted to make a link, click, drag. There we go. Those become active. If I want to add a link, I click. It says, okay, what do you want to link to? Well, google.com. This is Google. I can open it in a new window, and I can add a link. Very simple. Okay. All right. I can also change spell check language. So if you write in another language, right, you can check the spelling. Here's one of my favorite features, full screen mode. If you're more of a writer, you can go into full screen mode. It takes away all of the distractions, and you can just write. Okay, very awesome thing. All right, I love full screen mode. If you want to get out of full screen mode, you hover over the top here and hit exit full screen. Okay. Deborah's asking a very good question. She says you can't copy from Word to the content as it will not work properly, right? That is sort of true. You can copy and paste from Word. There is actually a paste from Word button. So if you copy text from Word, if you're more comfortable writing in Word, you can paste from Word, and then you paste in. If I did that right now, for instance, let's do this. Let's create a new line, and let's paste from Word. It comes up, and it says, all right, paste your stuff from Word. The problem with this is it does hard returns, So I have to come in here and kind of clean up a little bit. You can remove all your hard returns from Word as well. That's easy to do in Word. Okay. If I hit insert, it's going to insert everything just like it should have. Okay. Pretty simple. If I need to go back and add in, the paragraphs in between, if it, didn't format it correctly. That's one of the tricky things about the WordPress editor. The formatting does not always work so hot. Okay, that's one of the things I wish they would nail down. Okay, but you can paste from other applications. You can paste from plain text editor, from Word, whatever you need. Okay. All right. You can also format things in here. So, for instance, if I wanted to, let's add a new line up here about Justin Seeley, and I want this to be a heading. I can select this and then come right here and select, okay, I want that to be a heading. Now, if I preview this, it opens up the post. About me, there's my heading. And the heading is controlled by the formatting of your theme. Okay? So the theme has determined that that's what the heading looks like. All right? There's my bold text. There's my italic text. There's my link. If I click it, there's Google. There's my struck through text right there as well. Okay? I can go back. Remember, I just previewed it, so this hasn't even been published yet. All right? But that's basically the ins and outs of creating content inside the editor. Let's also take a look at how I can insert media. Okay? So, say I want a picture of myself right here. I'll go here to this little guy, add an image. There you go. It uploads it for me. Okay? Now I can change stuff like the title of it, so I can say, this is me. Alternate text, so if for whatever reason it doesn't display, or if somebody with disabilities comes to my site and they're using an accessibility program, it'll give them alternate text, so it'll read it back to them. So I need to be descriptive here. This is a picture of Justin. Okay. Caption, if you want to add a caption to it, I can. For instance, I can say, okay, at Justin Seeley, because I want my Twitter handle to be underneath there. If I want to add a description, I can. Not going to. If I want it to link to something, I can. So let's link that to my website. Alignment, I want it to be on the left side, so it automatically does text wrapping for me if I put it on the left. All right. If I want it full size, I can do it full size. I'm not. I'm going to do a thumbnail. And let's insert it into the post. Boom. There it is. If I preview it, scroll, there it is. If I click it, in theory, the joys of working with a live internet connection, there it is. It takes me to my website. Okay? So that's how easy it is to add media to these things. It used to be you had to know how to write out image tags and all that good stuff. You don't have to know that stuff anymore. If you can use Microsoft Word or any type of editor like that, you can use WordPress. WordPress is very simple. Right? Okay. Now, another cool thing, let's say you're writing for a newspaper or something like that, and they say, it needs to be 500 words. Well, you get a live word count right there at the bottom, which is pretty nice. Okay. All right. Now, over here on the right, there's some page attributes you need to be aware of. Number one, parents. Okay, you can have parent and child pages inside of WordPress. So parent and child pages inside of WordPress. The parent page is going to be whatever you want it to be. But that just means that in the hierarchy of pages, this page lives somewhere else, right? So for instance, I might have an About Me page, and then another part about me might be, my history. The other part might be my skills. The other part might be, my portfolio, whatever that is. And I can have those, in a hierarchy that I can then use in a menu or whatever I want. Template. If you have different page templates, you can use those. Okay? Templates are defined by the theme. The theme author must create a page template in order for you to use those. Okay? You can also set something called a featured image. Featured image is just like a poster image that is going to be used as an aesthetic addition to that page or that post. Most themes make use of featured images in post. So you'll see, like, if you go to a blog, for instance, you'll see a header, you'll see a little bit of the body copy, and then you'll see a picture like on the left side or on top of it or whatever. And so those are using featured images. For instance, here one of my favorite sites, the unofficial Apple weblog. All right, you can see here. Here's the title of the post. Here's a little bit of the body copy, and then there's the featured image over to the left. So that's what I'm talking about, using some sort of featured image. And the theme, based on the design, will call that featured image in different locations. It'll also be different sizes depending on what the theme has told it to do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave all these options alone. Let's take a look at the Publish panel. All right, because this is the big one, the Publish panel. So, do I want to save this as a draft? So maybe you've done this for your company and you want your boss to read it first. Save it as a draft, and then they can review it before you publish it. You can also preview it. I've done that a couple of times. You can edit the status here if you want to. You can also choose the visibility. If you don't want it to be a public page, you want it to be only available to the people who are logged into the site, you can do that as well. You can also publish immediately or schedule it. So if you click that edit button, you can schedule these to go out. So for instance, if your boss says, we need 8 blog posts a month, okay, take a Saturday, write 8 blog posts, and then schedule them. Very simple, okay? You can put yourself on, a repeating schedule of content just by working, one day, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
So if you had 8 posts, would that calendar just drop down to have 8?
Yeah, well, if you had, it's each one of you'd have to go into each individual post, and then you could schedule it based on month, day, and time, each one. So you'd have to go into each individual one, and so this one's coming out. Let's say I did this on October 11th, which is today, right? So I hit OK. So this one's going to publish immediately. So I'll publish it. So that's live on the internet now. It's a live page, right? For pages, it doesn't make sense necessarily to schedule them to be posted because pages are what we call static content. Posts are what, are what should be scheduled. So if I go in and edit a post or add a post, okay, a sample blog post, and I'll just throw in some, throw in some text. All right, let's say that I wanted this to come out tomorrow. All right, come over here, say edit. Want that to come out tomorrow? Hit OK. Notice over here on the right, it changes from publish to schedule. If I hit schedule, that means it will be scheduled to post it tomorrow at that time. Okay, I can preview it just like I could the page, anything else. But if I go to my site, notice the About Me page that I posted, it's there. There is no blog post because it hasn't been published yet. If I want to change that, I can go back and I can say, okay, edit. Let's publish it on the 11th, today. Hit OK. Publish it. If I go back and refresh, there's my sample blog post that I just made. Okay? So I could theoretically go in and write 3 or 4 articles, different posts, of course, and then schedule them to come out, once a week, once a month, whatever it is. And that way you've always got a constant stream of content coming out. Pretty simple. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right.
Justin?
Yep.
On installing WordPress, now with certain hosting, can't you buy like one account and, I have a number of websites, never doing anything with them.
Sure.
URLs, but I don't want to, buy the wrong thing and overspend. I heard that you can install it once and have some type of subsystem if they're simple and only pay less.
There are a couple of ways you can do that. Okay, so I have just the basic shared hosting account at HostGator. Actually, it's the basic business plan, which means I can have unlimited domains, right? But it's one account, but I can have as many websites as I want. And so theoretically, I can install WordPress on every one of those websites. I own like 30 domains, right? Actually, more than that now, but I can put WordPress on all of those sites individually, or you can set up something that's called a multi-site network. So you have one parent site, which could be like, yourcompany.com, and then you can set up a network through WordPress to actually run all of the subsequent sites from that one install of WordPress.
And they all have their unique URL.
You will have to map the domain to them, which is another kind of confusing process. My suggestion is, if you don't, how many sites do you have?
Let's say a dozen.
Okay, a dozen.
Do anything with them, but I'd
Right.
like to do something simple.
Okay. Well, it may be easier because, a network of sites is a little bit more than, people who are just starting out need, I think. So my suggestion would be just to go through and install WordPress on the ones that you want individually. You know, if you get a hosting account that can handle multiple domains, you can install WordPress on as many of them as you want. And then, you know, just manage them that way. For years, I had a DreamHost account. I used HostGator now, and because of the fact that HostGator supports multi-site networks. But for years, DreamHost did not support multi-site, so I actually had 20-something domains, and they were all running their own installation of WordPress. And that's how I managed all of the sites, all my client sites, all that stuff for years. So, all right. Alrighty. So, take a look at posts. We take a look at pages. We've got about 5 minutes left in here. So let's talk about everything else in 5 minutes. All right. The number one thing that you'll need to know about is plugins. Okay. Plugins are things that extend your site to make it do more stuff. All right. So by default, you have a few that are installed in WordPress, and I just clicked on plugins and it takes me there. All right. Now, a Kismet or a Kismet, however you say it, I don't know how you say it, but you can activate that. It's a spam catcher for your comments, and if you don't think you need it, you're wrong, because you will get more spam than you've ever heard of in your entire life on a WordPress site. Why, I don't know, but you'll get ads for, you know, weight loss products, other products that I won't say, but you'll get all kinds of advertisements through your spam or through your comment spam. Now, when you activate a plugin, and that's what I did, I clicked activate right here, it's going to tell you that the plugin was activated up top. In this case, this plugin needs an API key to run. Okay. Now, earlier a question was asked, what do you do now that they're asking you to pay for it? Well, when I go in here, it's going to say, okay, please enter an API key. If you don't have one, you can go in and get one. Okay, and that takes me here. It's going to say get an API key. Now, like I said before, I recommend paying these guys some money. It's an awesome plugin. Okay? If you're using this for a non-personal, like small business site, look, it's $5 a month. $5 a month to keep you headache free. I say go for it. Okay? If you really don't want to spend the money, that's fine. You can do this. Okay? Personal. You fill out your information and see this little slider? 0. He turns into a frowny face, because you're not giving them any money. But you fill out that information and hit continue, and they send you an email with your API key. Okay? Then you can come back in here and you can plug that in, and Akismet is rocking and rolling, catching your spam for you. No other setup required. Okay? Now, the other two plugins, the other plugin that comes in here by default is Hello Dolly. It is a proof of concept plugin that Matt Mullenweg, the founder of WordPress, created. You can just go ahead and delete that. Okay, because it is not, it doesn't do anything. All right, the other one that I have in here is actually a plugin that we're releasing today called Tipsy, and it allows you to add tooltips to your website. And so if you want to add plugins, the easiest way to do that is to hit Add New. All right, you're going to be taken right here to your install plugin screen. If you want to search for one, okay, for instance, you wanted one on Tumblr a while ago, so let's just type in Tumblr. Right, Tumblr. So they got Tumblr widgets, WP Tumblr. You can connect your Tumblr account with your WordPress blog. Tumblr importer, there you go, right there. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to run this. So I click install. It's going to say, are you sure you want to install this plugin? Yep. It goes through, it downloads it, it puts it in the right directory. I'm rocking and rolling. All I have to do is activate it. Once it's activated, you're going to see it's active right there. Okay, and I'm probably betting that it, where does it put this thing? It's going to be in the tools or no? I don't know where I put it. Plugins? That's the other thing you have to be worried about, is where do they actually put it? So I'm not sure where they put it. But you can always come back. Let's say you don't know. You can go, hey, visit the plugin site.
Justin,
Mm-hmm.
can you run an intranet site where you have a username and password to be able to enter the site if you wanted to do it in your company? Kind of.
Absolutely. Uh-huh. Now, how you actually implement the login process, the question was, how do you do an intranet with WordPress? Theoretically, we have one here that we call Project Press that we post updates to and all that kind of stuff. And so I won't actually show you, but if we go here, and I'm probably logged in, so it's probably going to show something I shouldn't, but yeah, I'm logged in. Okay, so close. There we go. So it would ask me for my username and password right there and allow me to get in and view. And we're actually running a really cool theme that's almost like an internal Twitter. And so we can post updates directly from the front end. We don't have to go into the back end at all, and we can post updates to each other, send messages to each other, and all that kind of stuff.
Like an internal forum.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, forum software. There's all kinds of discussion plugins and stuff that you can do. But yeah, you might want to look into, content protection. There's all types of ways to do it, really. Amember, AMEMBER is a good one. You can put just like general content protection rules on there. You can also just set it up, that you have to be logged in through the WordPress dashboard and then put some sort of protection plugin in front of that. Like you can actually just look for add new, like membership. Yeah, there's a ton of ones that'll protect your stuff, and it'll just use the WordPress system to vet those. All right. Okay. So that's how you do plugins. I know I'm running out of time. Let me show you how to do themes. All right, because themes is the big one. Everybody wants to know how to change the look and feel of your website. All right. So I've actually got a theme installed right now called Builder. It's the one that we sell here at iThemes, and I've also got a child theme, which is basically an add-on to Builder that allows me to change the look and feel of my site, right? Let me open up my site so you can see what it looks like now. All right, that's what it looks like right now, okay? If I wanted to add a theme, I can go to Install Themes, and I can either search the free WordPress directory, or if I've downloaded one from the internet, like let's say I downloaded Builder, I bought it and I downloaded it. Right. Absolutely. So if I downloaded it, had it on my computer, I can upload it, okay? I just go to Upload, and then I can choose the file, upload it. It's just like a plugin. It does the exact same thing. All right. So I'm going to go over here to Manage Themes. Let's say theoretically I uploaded it. All right. So there's Builder. All I have to do is activate this child theme. Okay. And I've done nothing to this child theme. All right. I just uploaded it. So watch this. I activate it. That's now my active theme. If I go here, so this is the traditional 2011 site, right? Watch how, boom, instantaneous change. All right. Remember I said that all of our child themes take advantage of the headers and all that kind of stuff. So there's the heading. If I want to change that, I go back into the settings that we were earlier. It changes to whatever. It looks like a logo. It's not a logo, but it looks like one, right? Navigation is styled properly, all that good stuff. All right. So that is how you install a theme. Very quick, very easy. And you can literally transform your site in seconds. And Builder is, we're going to have a Builder 101 class. I believe it's either next week or the week after. And you can come back and you can learn all about Builder for free. But that is probably the most powerful website building tool that I've ever been presented with, because of the fact that no matter if you've ever touched WordPress or not, you can use Builder because all you have to do is click stuff. And for people who don't know code, that is a godsend. It's absolutely fantastic. All right. So let me go back to my slides here. We're going to wrap up. This has been a free webdesign.com training event, and we're going to do these every Tuesday. We're going to, calling them our beginner series. But if you want more training, you can check out www.webdesign.com, and you can sign up for a membership there, and you'll get access to all of the recordings, all of the training, everything that we do there. And it's 250 plus hours right now. It's getting close to 300 hours of content that we have in our library. That's all available to you as a member. You also have access to members-only chats, our forum, and all that good stuff. It's 2 tracks, designer and developer, by me and Benjamin Bradley. It's $397 a year to be a member of webdesign.com. But if you take a look at that, and I'm sure we all do it, who goes and gets coffee in the morning? Right? Everybody goes and gets coffee or has some sort of drink during the day, right, that you spend like $1 on. It's about $1 per day. All right? So if you can, cut out 1 Coke a day, you can afford to be a webdesign.com member. It's pretty cool. All right? You can also follow us on Twitter for all of our updates, all of our free seminars, and all of our paid ones as well, at webdesign.com. Like us on Facebook. We post free videos there all the time. and also on YouTube, youtube.com/webdesigncom. All right, so thanks everybody for joining me here live at the Div. Thank you everybody for joining me live online, and I'll talk to you guys soon.